Dear students, today we will discuss about the transition from feudalism to capitalism part 1. It is in your Rise of Modern West paper, unit 1. So, let us discuss about this aspect of transition from feudalism to capitalism. In the introduction part, we will discuss the atypical system of land tenure in the form of feudalism existed in Europe from about 300 BC to the end of 13th century CE. After that, the concept of feudalism made its beginning in Europe. Generally, it is considered that feudalism ended with the Renaissance in Europe, a period in which there was a great resurgence of art, science, literature and human freedom. Though the Renaissance played an important role in the transition from feudalism to capitalism, several other reasons also contributed to the transition. These reasons include defects within the feudal system as well as external forces which created a long lasting impact on the medieval societies in Europe. So, let us first know the meaning of feudalism and capitalism. It might be coming to your mind, what is feudalism or what is the meaning of feudalism? So, feudalism is a peculiar system of land tenure of government which existed in Europe in the medieval period. It was an organization of society through the medium of land. The word feudalism is derived from the Latin word feudum, which means a fief or piece of land held by a vassal on condition of service. Hence, the system evolved by the kings of Europe, under which land was given to the landlords and their tenants in return for military services and other services, is known as feudalism. This was a system of society in which all social, political and economic rights were closely related to the system of land holdings. It was based on the principle of protection, service and payments. Those who needed protection secured it from a nobleman who had his own army and retainers. The nobleman in return secured services and payments from those whom he protected. Feudalism was developed at a time when land was the only source of wealth and power. Industry and trade had suffered much during barbarian invasions and it was difficult to sell goods and have cash. Feudalism was comprehensive in its range, but it lacked regularity and uniformity. A study of feudal society in different countries shows that conditions were not the same everywhere, though the main principles were almost the same in all countries. The want of uniformity makes some writers speak of feudalism instead of a feudal system. In words of Stubbs, feudalism may be described as a complete organization of society through the medium of land tenure, in which from the king down to the lowest landowner all are bound together by obligation and defense. Thus, the prominent feature of feudalism were the granting of fiefs or fiats, chiefly in the form of land and labor in return for political and military services. A land contract sealed by homage, oath of fidelity and investiture. So, this was in true spirit the meaning of feudalism. Now, let us discuss the meaning of capitalism. What is capitalism? If we will discuss capitalism in broad sense is difficult to define, as different scholars have given different opinions on capitalism. The scholars like Tanvi says that capitalism is no more than a political catchword. On the other hand, Cromwell and Zwiefke explained capitalism as an economy of free and fair competition for profit and continuous work opportunity for all. These scholars identify capitalism with a system of free enterprise in which the individual has unfettered economic freedom, a system where economic and social regulations are ruled by contract, where men and free agents in seeking their livelihood and legal compulsions and restrictions are observed. Max Weber defines capitalism is present wherever the industrial provision for the need of a human group is carried out by the method of enterprise. He emphasized that the spirit underlying capitalism is the attitude to seek profit rationally and systematically. Hamilton has mentioned capitalism as a system in which wealth other than land is used for the definite purpose of securing an income. In the words of Lifson, the fundamental feature of capitalism is the wage system under which the worker has no right of ownership in the wares he manufactures. He sells not the fruits of his labor, but the labor itself, a distinction of vital economic significance. According to Cunningham, the distinguishing feature of capitalist organization of industry is the possession of material by the employer who engages the workman and pays his wages. He subsequently makes a profit by the sale of the goods. Furthermore, he describes the intrusion of capitalism may not make such much apparent change in the conditions under which the work is done, but it makes a tremendous change in the personal relations of the workman to his fellow men when he is reduced to a position of dependence. In short, we can say that capitalism is an economic arrangement where production and distribution of goods is carried on by the individuals or group of individuals who use their stock of accumulated wealth for making more wealth for themselves. Now, let us discuss the transition from feudalism to capitalism in Europe. As we know that nothing happens in this world without any causes, the feudalism which flourished between 11th and 13th centuries began to decline towards the close of the 13th centuries in France and Italy. However, in other parts of Europe, it continued to thrive for some time and ultimately disappeared only by 1580 and led to the beginning of capitalism. There were certain factors which were responsible for the transition from feudalism to capitalism. So, in the next video, we will discuss what were the causes or what were the factors that led or that were responsible for the transition from feudalism to capitalism. Thank you.